Beings Considered with Dr. Crystal Heath and Skyjack Morgan. Music gets me in the mood to talk to a veterinarian, let me tell you. Dr. Crystal Heath, Skyjack Morgan. How you doing, Dr. Crystal Heath? Are you ready to consider all the beings?
You know, as why is there an echo all of a sudden?
I don't hear an echo.
It might be because, hold on.
I don't hear an echo. I just said, are you ready to consider all the beings? I'm ready to consider all the beings.
Yes, I am too. Good. And it's, I'm as well as I can be, considering I watched somebody get shot in the neck and die.
That was a horrible video. I don't think
over again.
Yeah, it's a little surprising that it's not being blurred out or anything.
Well, it is in a lot of platforms, but of course not on Twitter, which I guess I'm thankful for. I guess I'm thankful Twitter doesn't censor that stuff. They don't censor my gruesome factory farming, modern intensive animal agriculture footage, and they don't censor that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of in the last few days. I've seen a lot of blood escape human beings through their necks.
Really?
Well, yeah, of course, Irina Zaruchka.
Oh gosh, yeah. I didn't really. I avoided those videos somehow. But, yeah.
I mean, it seems like there's a lot of people bleeding on the internet. America is bleeding. All things aside, and how I feel about Charlie Kirk, and I don't think that anyone can look at what's happening in America and the violence that's happening in here and say that this is a perfectly unified country and a healthy democracy. I don't think that anybody could say that right now.
Yeah, and nobody should be afraid to say something that people don't like. And that mentality can be used against us, of course, because we say things that corporations don't like.
Yes, and it has been, right? I mean,
yeah.
people who have spoken up against the exploitation of animals have been called terrorists. The FBI has had animal advocates on terrorist watch lists up until very recently. So
and
probably
we've been killed too.
We've been killed, yes, and there have been informants and infiltrators in the movement that have been funded by the corporations and the law and the government. So, yeah, absolutely.
And there's also people who've been snitch jacketed by fellow activists who are threatened by their speaking out against their harmful misconduct too, which is
you're absolutely right. It's
I got a hummingbird feeder and a little hummingbird is visiting my feeder.
That's cute.
Yeah.
I will relish the fact that you said horrifying. You find something horrifying. I mean, I thought we're supposed to make anger our motivator.
Does horrifying mean I'm scared though? What is horror? Let me ask ChatGPT. Let me define my emotions.
If you're going to be horrified by anything, I think it's fair enough to say that the video of the death of Charlie Kirk was horrifying.
Intense fear, which I'm not fear. Intense fear, shock, or disgust. Shock, yes. Disgust, yes. But I'm not afraid.
It's interesting that although I find the footage of Charlie and what happened, the unkirking, if you will, horrifying, I find the fact that he was killed not horrifying at all. I feel like this is something that was well expected. I think that this is something that we all kind of saw coming. I think if you preach hate in a public, Ben Shapiro is interesting. I mean, honestly,
if you preach hate, you should expect violence and hate directed towards you. I mean, I don't know. It is what it is.
If David Duke,
I think we should protect all beings. This is all beings considered, and we should consider all beings, even beings with despicable opinions on things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a free speech.
Our opinions are despicable to lots of people too.
Totally. I also, though, I think situational awareness is important. I mean, schools are dangerous places in America. and I wouldn't want to give an outdoor speech at a school where I'm saying something that is completely hateful. I wouldn't want to do it. But maybe Charlie Kirk, he was a spokesperson for that type of thing, and well, he got.
I guess I have to, whatever. I will be looking. I see all of these people talking about his hateful rhetoric, and I would like to understand exactly what was said and what his vision of the world was.
I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about it. This is now the time to find out about Charlie Kirk. You're in luck. I think
people, of
everyone
course,
will be
have
talking
accused
about
me of hateful rhetoric too, and I just worry we throw around these terms and label people as certain things without discussing these specific ideas and everybody, I'm just very skeptical of whatever narrative is being pushed by whatever side.
Rightly so.
It's like, and I know Charlie Kirk is a very polarizing figure.
Yep.
But give me specifics of what, and we can go in this more. This is not the place to discuss this. We can go in this more on Ethical Underground, but I want specific quotes taken not out of context, because my own quotes have been taken out of context and used to spin a false narrative about me. So anytime somebody is being piled on, and to the extent of being shot, I'm like, hold up here. Like,
I don't think people should be shot for speech, but Charlie Kirk was not just a guy with an opinion. He was a guy who founded Turning Point USA, which was a conservative activist group for young people. He was a person who, was painted as this person. You could call it what you will, but a lot of people called his school tours of hate. His rhetoric was quite divisive, and
they've called me a militant vegan with a streak of zealotry.
That's true.
Group a terrorist organization and an extremist organization.
And those are opinions of you. I don't think that you would ever be accused of dehumanizing other people or trying to, in fact, you go out of your way to say that slaughterhouse workers have rights and they are also exploited. That's not the Charlie Kirk vibe.
But activists have gone around saying that I wanted to see them deported, that I was accusing people of rape, that I sexually harassed other activists. All of these things have been said about me that aren't necessarily true.
Crystal, I'm with you. I mean, no one deserves to be. I'm with you. But here's the thing. I am all about radical acceptance of others as individuals. I'm about radical acceptance of the diversity of opinion. That is not Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was not someone who was about radical acceptance.
That word phrase could be said exactly about me. Crystal Heath is not somebody who's blah 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 blah. So.
Sure. You keep comparing yourself to Charlie Kirk, Crystal, but it's not. It's the deeper you go with this guy.
I'm not as famous as he is, but if I was as famous as he is, imagine the types of things and narratives that would be said about me. But, and I'm of course not a percentage point as famous as he is, but already the things that are said about me. Oh, Crystal Heath is a blah 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 blah. Crystal Heath is a blah 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 blah. Like.
I get called Crystal. I'm an online person too. I have to endure the threats of violence towards myself. I have to endure the comments on my looks, people coming up with crazy things about a made up past that I'm not party to. I have to deal with this every single day. So I know what you mean.
So when you just say like so and so is a blah 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 blah. That to me, I instantly tuned it out as like sounds very.
That's fine. If you don't want to accept my take on Charlie Kirk, that's fine. I encourage everyone to do a little bit of research into Charlie Kirk and make their own decision. That's what critical thinking's about. That's what this channel's about. Yeah. That's what you and I are all about, is critical thinking. I completely agree with you. Don't take my word for it. Do some homework.
Yeah. And I think this is something too we could discuss later too. Imagine you are a Charlie Kirk fan, and just like I had gotten word and there was evidence that a group that I was a part of was highly problematic and highly toxic and had done horrible things to other activists. And their leader manipulated women and was romantically pursuing all of these people, young, very young people, all these things. But I'm like, they just, and all these people who are complaining about this group are just too sensitive. They haven't lived life like I have, and they just don't get it.
Yeah, seriously, that's exactly how I felt when I was in an animal rights group. I felt the same way. They just don't get it. They're not as tough as me. Yeah.
And then I had to literally be slapped in the face with just how I won't use the word horrifying again because I'm not afraid of them, but just how bad and manipulative they were, and how they spun narratives about people and how they unfairly portrayed others. And I'm like, oh, now I get it. And I'm like, what can I, and there's so many things in our lives where we're like, how do we explain to people in a way that's going to resonate with them if they're stuck in a high control?
Yes. Group. Agreed. I mean, this is the thing that I think
where
about.
The narrative is very crafted, and naysayers are viewed a certain way. They're viewed as weak, or they just don't get it, or they have an ideology, or they are out to get them, or whatever. How do we explain to those people, no, maybe you should just let's listen to the other side a little bit more. Like, let's assume good faith in what the other side is saying.
Audi, alter, and part them. Yeah.
People to listen. And that brings us back to the veterinary profession, which is another high control profession where there is this cult-like mentality, this obedience to hierarchy, this use of these thought-stopping cliches and euphemisms. And people have been indoctrinated into the belief of how the world works, and that the way things are is the way they will always be. And there is no progress away from our current view of animals, and the belief that animal welfare has gotten better. And we're always trying to improve animal welfare, when in reality, it has gotten so much worse. And our use of animals is becoming more and more commonplace, and to the detriment of our public health, food security, our advancements of science, and to the detriment of training the next generation of veterinarians, which is why I published this paper on the terminal use of animals as cadavers in veterinary schools and labs, which...
That was a great paper. I mean, so you published a paper with a couple other authors of that paper. Who were they?
With Dr. Robin Chadwin, wonderful diplomat of the American College of Animal Welfare, who really, Ryan Merkley reached out. How this whole paper went down, Ryan Merkley of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine reached out to me, said the Physicians Committee was interested in doing this project. And he knew I was the person to go to when it comes to discussing the use of animals in veterinary schools, because this has been my passion for a long time. And it's part of what got me ostracized by my colleagues, was because I was talking about the terminal use of animals in veterinary schools. And then I brought on Robin Chadwin, who's so smart and has published papers before, because I hadn't, and Ryan hadn't, and we didn't know what we were doing. So we needed help. And Robin really really drove this paper home, which is why she's the lead author on it.
And so this all came out of a FOIA request. Is that how this happened?
Multiple public records requests of all public veterinary schools in the US and Canada. So 26 schools responded to this, and we found out there were only 2 schools that weren't killing animals for student education, and those were Texas Tech and the University of Arizona. And now, since this paper has been published, there's a lot of confusion, and I've suffered a lot of backlash online from it.
Yeah.
Because people are like, well, I went to this school, we didn't kill animals and blah, blah, blah. And I keep saying, look, I've been accused of lying, of doxing people with this paper, because the records are public and
Yeah,
it's
he's doxing.
published in the
It's a public record. Like, I'm sorry.
It's shocking how many people are saying that
You violated someone's privacy. I mean, they've killed
this
animals and it's
paper
a
is
public record.
unethical.
Oh.
When we went through a very rigorous peer review process, and that it's very misleading and it mischaracterizes the data and all of this stuff. So
Brilliant.
let me see if I can pull up just some of the things.
So you said this are 26 schools out of 38 in North America, in US and Canada. Mm-hmm. And you found out all these animals that were being killed, and people thought that you were doxing them. That's a little rich, I think.
Somebody
I feel like
said,
this is one of those
I know
things...
for a fact from working at vet schools that what you are stating is false.
Oh, what you're stating is false. So their own records are falsified. Love it.
Yeah.
But this sounds like one of those things, though. Do you remember a while back we were talking and I said, I don't know, I've been in a lot of locker rooms and I've never heard somebody talk like Donald Trump says, grab him by the you-know-what. And you're like, Sky, that's how people talk. And I'm like, not when they're around me. People don't talk like that. But that seems like the same thing here.
Maybe because you talk a lot. Like, are you the one usually dominating the conversation? If you're like me, a white woman who just sits there and listens and nods, you will hear horrifying things that people say.
I know I seem gregarious and outgoing, but when I'm in a locker room, generally I don't talk to anybody, but I do eavesdrop on other people having conversations. And I've heard some nasty stuff, but stuff like this, nah, man. I mean, the stuff that I'm hearing these days out of Donald Trump's mouth and people excusing as locker room talk, nah.
Well, anyway, we're going pretty far afield here.
No, but I think it's the same thing. It's the same thing as like the vets going, oh, well, at my school, nobody killed any vets. No, at your school,
nobody killed any animals.
Not any animals. No, at your school, you didn't kill any animals. That doesn't mean it wasn't happening.
And somebody says, nothing you posted there in that link says anything pertaining to your claims of killing animals for veterinary student use. You have one sheet from research databases and have things like anatomy labs listed. Animals used for those labs are already euthanized, not euthanized for the labs, which isn't true. And it is absolutely unethical and unprofessional to post those with veterinarians and other employees' names attached in public forums. You will be the cause of people getting doxxed, possibly to death.
Doxxed to death? Oh my gosh. Are people going to get doxxed to death?
Let's take a look at those documents that might get people doxxed to death.
Yeah, I'd love to see them.
And the one sheet of paper that she's referring, or this, I don't know, I don't know what gender this person is, but all of this doxing is based on one sheet of paper, according to them. So let's take a look and let's go through this thoughtfully here for a second.
Yes, please do. And if you're on X right now, I'd love to see a comment. X just introduced comments in live streams. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you think. I'd love to see some X comments, please. And if you're on YouTube, drop a comment. Let us know how you're feeling about animals being euthanized for education. Killed, sorry. And animals being killed for teaching veterinarians. There we go.
Okay. So we could go in alphabetical order, I guess. We'll start with A for Auburn University. This is, I don't know how much this, you're probably going to have a hard time seeing this, but anybody can check these out by, I don't know if you want to post a link in the chat while I'm pulling this up.
Yeah, the link in the chat to the
to all of the PCRM protocols.
That's what I'm looking at, the vet school records, right? Yeah.
And so this will just kind of explain what we were going through. And people are like, well, we don't know how many animals were sourced from bioscience labs and from like animal shelters where they were euthanized due to behavioral issues or health issues or lack of space or any of these other things. Some of these public records have that information about, hey, these animals were purchased from this company for this much money. They are healthy animals, you know, and that they are killed for student use, blah, blah, blah. Some of them, the source is not clear. And that's what we were grappling with this data. So we were like, well, let's make boxes of categories, of species, of use, and so we compiled it into this big spreadsheet. But and then we were like, well, let's just kind of explain the data that we got, and that's what we did. And we thought we did it in a very fair way. And we found a lot more schools were purposefully killing animals for student education than I think a lot of people understand.
Yeah, the numbers seem shocking to me.
So this lab is...
One might even say horrifying.
Well, if you're fearful about it, but I don't know if fear is the right... I'm kind of angered by it, actually, because I think students deserve better. And a lot
they were infuriating these numbers.
Infuriating. Some people said, well, if you eat bacon, then you shouldn't have a problem with killing animals for student education.
Well, how do you feel about that?
Is there are some people who believe that you need to eat animal protein in order to be healthy, and so
bacon.
They do. But one might also argue you do not need to kill animals for student education, or this is a misuse of our stewardship over animals. So they might eat bacon, but be opposed to this because they believe, hey, students deserve the opportunity to practice post-anesthesia recovery, and they deserve the opportunity to save an animal's life, not just needlessly kill an animal who then can't even become food. A lot of people view just killing an animal and not using them for food as a waste. I personally think, you know, I know we don't need to consume animals, you know,
right.
And I would also argue that pig is probably one of the worst forms of protein production because of the way that they're kept.
Yeah.
And we can have that discussion, but I think people, based on their knowledge and everything, draw that line and their own addiction to bacon. If you're addicted to bacon and you know you shouldn't eat it, but you just, because of the marketing, you cannot overcome billions of dollars of marketing.
It's like cigarettes.
Rather, like, your school have a policy that has a high regard and reverence for animal life. That's an okay opinion to have. You are not a hypocrite in my book.
You know, let me ask you how you feel about this. When I one time did a college campus tour, I think that, you know, I went to 70 campuses in a few months' time and all over America. And we did a thing about animal in labs being tested for various experiments, usually curiosity experiments on college campuses. And we had at some point, I think it was Chico State, where there is a big agricultural community there. And we had people, farmers, people who were cattle ranchers, and they came and they did their VR experience that we had set up. And they were big, burly men, but I swear to God, they were like on the verge of tears. I'm not saying they were bawling or anything, but they were touched. You could tell they were moved and they were upset. And they were saying, you know, well, I've got to feed America. That's why I kill these animals. I sell these animals for slaughter because Americans got to eat. But this is outrageous. They were infuriated, perhaps even horrified by the images and ideas that we showed them what was happening to animals in labs on campuses. Do you think those guys are hypocrites?
Where is the hypocrisy? I'm sorry.
Well, you're using animals either way. One's to make money, one's to, well, actually, they're both to make money at the end of the day. Animals aren't killed for fun, or I don't even think these animals are killed for education. I think they're killed for money. I think that's really what's going on here. But I think that there's a hypocrisy there to say that I make my living by selling animals for slaughter, but if somebody else makes their living by selling animals for experimentation, that is beyond the pale. That's a road too far. I'm against that because it's horrifying and disgusting. And
Well,
again,
you can,
against my
I think I don't think there's any benefit to calling people names like hypocrite. You can
I didn't call them hypocrites when I was sitting.
No, so you're asking me, would I call them a hypocrite? I say no.
Do you think they're hypocrites? Do you think it's hypocrisy?
I do not think they're hypocrites, because I understand you need to make a living and you depend on this job. And because you have this job, I don't know, would that person support policy that would help them transition to another job that didn't require animal killing? Or would they not? Like, I think it's all like, what policies are they supporting? I can understand you are dependent on this job. I get it. And you also are disgusted by animal experimentation, and you would support policy to end that. I would ask, would they support policy to help them transition to a job that doesn't require animal killing?
It was very interesting because in my conversation with them, they seemed very much stonewally about any kind of conversation about animal protein for dietary reasons, anything having to do with slaughtering animals. But they were truly moved and horrified by the idea of animal experimentations on college campuses. You know, some of the bad stuff, but commonplace stuff like
let's look at these protocols here.
Yeah.
So this Auburn University protocol, these animals are used for teaching. 15 to 35 students in the class. Number of students per animal, 1 to 5. Number of animals per lab, 10 to 35. Number of labs per year, 1. Animals, common name fish species, 30 to 105. Total use 10 to 35 per year, mixture of males and females. Source, redacted, or university fish are unavailable. Fish will be purchased from a local company. These are presumably healthy fish purchased from a local company who will be, and all of these protocols are from animals that are killed by the university. So these are fish who could be saved, but they are not. Pain and distress category D, and this, because what are the pain and distress categories? I should pull that up. I don't have that off the top of my mind. Indicate who will provide daily care maintenance for the animals. Fish used for laboratory will not require daily care. The fish will only be transported to the laboratory location just prior to the laboratory session and will be humanely euthanized. Can you humanely euthanize an animal that is not suffering from a terminal disease? No, that is a euphemism. That is not the correct terminology. The word humane euthanasia should be reserved for the ending the life of one who is suffering. The laboratory session is expected to last 2 hours, with the fish kept no longer than 6 hours on the protocol. Redacted has 8 years of experience working with laboratory zebrafish and multiple years of experience working in commercial tropical fish hatchery, blah, blah, blah. Let's see what else we can find.
But the backlash seems to be about, this is the thing, the backlash from these students or from these fellow vets or vet students, it seems to be that they're the ones who are calling regular folk hypocrites. That, like, if you have a problem with this, then stop eating bacon. It's really interesting to me. Anyone who eats bacon should be okay with this.
Yeah, that's an interesting, what kind of fallacy is that? Because
appeal to hypocrisy.
Okay, is that a known fallacy? I didn't know that.
That if it's hypocrisy, then the argument is, if the deliverer of the argument is a hypocrite, then the argument is false, right? But it doesn't engage with the merit of the argument itself.
Fish will be anesthetized using tricaine methane sulfonate, tricaine MS-222 per label directions prior to handling. Let's see. All procedures done on fish will be completed with the instructors or students wearing appropriately sized, blah, blah, blah. Trying to find if anything is interesting. Well, but we've established that these are animals who will be killed, who were in some cases purchased from a company for student use. So I just proved that one person wrong who says no animals are killed for student use, because they've worked at multiple schools. Let's look at another Auburn protocol. This is anatomy, physiology, 130 students in class, 10 to 20 students per animals, 6 horses, 6 cows, 6 goats or sheep, 40 horses, 6 cows, 6 sheep, goats used for all 40 labs each year. 9 male, 9 female horses, source blank or commercial vendor, cow blank, redacted, source or commercial vendor, goats, sheep, redacted, source or commercial vendor. Pain distress category C. It's a little bit like very all over the place depending on the situation.
These are animals that they used to teach veterinarians. So what do you hope that people get out of the paper though? Like why did you want to write this paper?
There's this myth that there are no terminal labs in veterinary schools, and that all veterinary schools source their animals ethically. And I wanted to say no, or just expose the main thing is just expose the use of animals and the killing of animals for veterinary student education. We also looked at what each school was doing to teach students various topics, and discovered really no 2 schools did it the same way. Lots of schools were able to teach a certain procedure, subject, surgery to students without killing animals. So the schools need to talk to each other and adopt the labs that don't require animal killing. If they're using a lab that requires animal killing, while another school is teaching the same thing and not requiring animal killing, they need to adopt that other school's protocol. Because I don't think that the policy of the school should be dictated by the students with the least regard for animals. Policy should be dictated by the students with the most regard for animals. So
why is the myth continue? Why is this a myth that keeps going on? I mean, this is something that I've heard, that we don't do terminal labs anymore. That's like the 80s. We don't do those anymore. And then it turns out they're doing them all the time.
But then there's lots of people who say, no, we don't kill animals in student education. And in the same thread, there's a comment of like, terminal laboratories are absolutely necessary and vital, and I support them. So which is it?
Well, obviously it's the latter. I mean, that they think that animals are killed. I mean that,
and I think it's partly do-good or derogation, which is the phenomenon of somebody takes a stance that is a moral stance. Then everybody who doesn't take that stance feels judged and wants to tear down that person who took that moral stance. And we've talked to veterinarians who went through this and who were attacked and bullied for being conscientious objectors, and other students wanted to have them have an asterisk on their diploma because they didn't complete the same thing. So
they didn't participate in the horrors of the trenches.
It's creating this great discord, distress in the veterinary profession. We should all be like, yeah, let's adopt policy that provides access to care and doesn't kill animals. Somebody else said, so you want to have students who lack skills practice on animals who are people's pets and the distress it would cause people. And I'm like, well, there's so many fallacies in there, because I think that the students, every veterinarian out there has done a surgery for the first time
It's true.
on an owned animal when we had not done that surgery before.
There's a first time for everything. Yeah.
You do it the best you can, and you seek out mentorship. And in schools, I believe we need to teach surgery a lot more in schools than we're doing now. And we need to do it on animals who actually need those procedures under the guidance of experienced veterinarians. And I don't think anybody's rolling the dice with the care of those animals if it's done right. I think we can provide top-notch care to those animals, and they're not getting the short end of the stick by having students practice on them, because they're getting somebody, who cares about their pain, managing their pain, and who's stepping in when the student needs help.
It's also kind of far-fetched that someone's going to graduate from a veterinary university and immediately open up their own practice and start eviscerating animals. That's not how it goes. Almost all of
it happens.
I'm sure it does happen, but most of you are going out and having jobs under other people for a while before you're able to open up your own practice and get into business for yourself.
But I think we've, for far too long, hoped that was the case and not provided veterinary students with the skills they need to graduate day one and be confident professionals, which is what leads to students feeling insecure, taking jobs under shitty people for the hope of mentorship,
joining a cult,
getting very culty because they have this perfectionism. There's this, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to be treated well because my skills aren't there. I feel insecure about my skills and not confident. So I'm not going to stand up for myself or my patients. I think vet students need a lot more surgical experience, and we can offer that surgical and procedure experience in a courageous way that provides care for animals. But let me go through this again, because I feel like we're just repeating ourselves over and over again, and we really got to dive into these FOIA documents. So in most cases, no daily care maintenance is involved in the proposal because animals are euthanized the same day they are acquired. However, in the event animals cannot be euthanized the same day they arrive, redacted will provide care for the animals until they are euthanized. List all the names of individuals who will conduct the procedures, all redacted. So nobody's getting doxxed, right?
No, all redacted.
The proposed species required for, why you selected the species for this project. The proposed species are required for teaching large animal anatomy. Fundamental studies for the DVM degree require that each student acquire knowledge of anatomy of each of the common domestic animal species. This is a requirement. So they're like blaming the AVMA, but all of these animals are animals who I've seen many cows die in modern intensive animal-based protein production facilities. Why aren't we using those animals for cadavers? One might say, in order to properly fix the cadaver, we need the animal fresh so that we can, the heart needs to stay pumping so we can inject the dyes and the whatever they use to plastinate the arteries and the veins to make that nice red and blue structure while the animal is still alive.
Oh my God.
There was a horrible story somebody shared of a goat. They watched this being done on a goat, and the goat was screaming during it. Obviously, that goat was not sedated well enough, not anesthetized well enough while they were doing that. And I might also argue not completely necessary to have those dyes injected. I think students can learn just fine on carcasses that died naturally. And we can plastinate those carcasses and preserve those carcasses and structures. But
as long as we got as long as we got like a fresh supply of carcasses, I guess. But I mean, it still seems
we have how many animals die in this country every day?
Well, every day,
the floor of modern intensive animal-based protein production facilities. A lot more than are being used in these labs, that's for sure. We're just not getting those animals. There are so many animals killed, euthanized because of terminal problems in these teaching hospitals too, that should be used for student stuff. And I'd also argue, anatomy lab itself isn't that important. I think we
Well,
could
I
be
mean,
teaching students a lot more on pathology, and I went to a great talk at the AVMA convention from somebody who made that argument that we're wasting far too much time in anatomy lab, and the way we teach it is stupid, having students memorize these thousands of body parts instead of like learning in the clinic on animals who actually need procedures and things.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Deb Thompson says. She went to a school that was teaching future dentists at a less expensive rate. They did a good job, win-win for everybody. I mean, is that what we're proposing here? Is this the theory of change, if you will?
Absolutely. Like more providing access to care, students learning on actual patients, and no needless killing of patients, because far too many animals are dying because they lack access to care. Somebody said, oh, we kill 600,000 dogs in animal shelters every year. It'd be a shame for those animals to go to waste. Like, why not use them in terminal labs? A lot of those dogs that are killed in shelters have behavior issues. Yes, I think students should I have to deal with aggressive dogs and aggressive cats every day. Students should have that experience, but in a very controlled, thoughtful way. And I think that's kind of a callous disregard of animals. Sure, like if they're euthanized, yeah, look at their bodies and stuff, but I don't think we should depend on this supply of unwanted euthanized animals for student training.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel the same thing about, relying on the animal protein, the dietary protein production system. I mean, to rely on them seems anathema to veterinary medicine to me. I mean, I thought veterinarians were supposed to be the ones that cared about animals. I mean, I think as a layperson, seeing a paper like this comes out makes you think, well, geez, does anybody care about animals if the vets don't?
I think I think these statement that they don't care about animals is a really manipulative way to frame it, because they do care deeply about animals.
It's not a framing, it's a reaction to the paper, right? I mean, we're talking about thousands of animals that are killed and then rationalized. It's how else? I mean,
do you really think veterinarians don't care about animals?
I think that that the system and the education of veterinarians tends to beat out their empathy. I think it does. I think that they go into it for all the right reasons. Many of them go into it for all the right reasons. They care about animals. They want to make a difference in the lives of animals, and they come out very different people. We know that about a lot of training in high control environments and these kind of culty type hierarchies. You go in thinking, we've talked about Nexium before, and I love that guy, the guy who made the HBO documentary, the guy who made What the Bleep Do We Know? He says,
Mark Vincente,
Vincente, right, Vincente, and he talks about how nobody wants to join a cult. You think you're like in a self-help group, and you think that you're like going to change the world and you're going to make the world a better place, and then you wake up one day and you realize, oh my God.
It's the weird thing about Mark is the thing that did it for him was like the branding of the women, and which I think it's weird, but it's not like the worst thing about the group.
Well, I think, to hear him tell it, it seems like there were all these other red flags that were ignored. Just like you said, like
Yeah.
you're like, oh, they're just complaining. They don't have
Yeah.
I think that,
Not tough enough. Yeah.
yeah. And then you find out, oh my God, they're branding women. And then everything falls into focus and you're like, oh my God, I'm in a
Yeah.
cult.
That's the minute that so my own cult experience, it was like, I had these little things throughout that like made me wake up. And the moment I heard that he romantically pursued this one girl who was 15 years younger than him after I broke up with him. And then he was all about, open discussion and good faith and stuff. And he's all about, I'm an open book, like a radical transparency. And then suddenly he's like, some things are meant to be private. Like, and then he's all, that girl is not who I thought she was. And I'm like, whoa. And he's all about assuming good faith in people. And he's like, that she is not who I thought she was. And it's like, oh, you're not assuming good faith in her, are you?
Sounds
and
a
I
little,
heard him say things about his exes that, like, oh, she's a lot darker than she's a dark side. And I know when I broke up with him, I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna say the same things about me.
She's a dark side.
She's deceptive, she's jealous, and I know he started the ball against me. He's talking in campaign meetings about how hostile I was to him. It was like turning every little thing I said into like a sign of hostility. There was this one, now I'm trauma dumping at this point, but there was this one.
Well, it sounds a lot like Keith Raniere. I was going to say that sounds a lot like Keith Raniere. Yeah.
But he's a poor man's Keith Raniere is what I say now. I was in this group chat about this one campaign, and I had written a press release for the campaign, and he didn't want me. I found out later he told the other people I wasn't to do any sort of press about this. He didn't want me part of his press because I was hostile towards him. And at this point I was not hostile. I was like, I broke up with him. Like I told him we're still on good terms. We're still friends. It's fine. But he'd already started. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's fine. Like, I'm chill. I'm a cool girl. Like, whatever.
Yeah, everything's gonna be cool.
And we're gonna be fine. He wants kids. I don't want kids, so it'll work out fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so I sent a press release that I had made to this group chat that he was in and some other people were in, and it was crickets. I think they were all like, "Oh my God, she put a message in our chat," and like I'm just like, blah, 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 not knowing what's going on, not knowing what they're talking about with me, and it's just nobody responds because I'm like, oh, can I get feedback on this? Crickets. And I'm like, a couple days later, since nobody responds, I'm like, okay, good chat. And
you were excommunicated.
Or good talk, I wrote, which is something that I say to like bump a thing when somebody doesn't respond. Like, it's very lighthearted way of. And he's like, that was a sign you were hostile towards me. And I'm like,
hostile.
Then later I found out, I was completely naive that there was this whole story being told about me behind the scenes.
Now you know. Well, let me switch gears to a question.
I want to.
What do you think separates students like yourself, Dr. Heath, that end up honing their surgical skills and entering shelter med despite the poor teaching practices?
So it's just like waking up to a cult. It's a series of experiences you have where and people you meet and people you talk to. And like, I feel so fortunate that I got to meet some amazing veterinarians that I had no idea about shelter medicine going in, like third-year veterinary school. I thought shelter medicine is sad and I could never work in a shelter with all of those homeless animals. And then I volunteered in a shelter And I met people who were like, it was, you go through vet school and you feel out of place and like, I don't really belong. I'm going to fake my way through. I don't feel welcome. Everybody's telling me C barn is so cool. C barn is the livestock barn. And like everybody's like, I love the livestock. Everybody's so laid back and chill and friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I went to C barn. That was not my experience at all. I felt like not welcome, like I couldn't do anything right. Like, and I felt like the small animal side where everybody was like, small animal people are so uptight, like general medicine is so stressful and everybody's so uptight and blah, blah. I was like, no, this is great. The people love their animals so much. And I had a patient she was in a wheel. Oh my God, I'm gonna start crying. But she was in a wheelchair and she like heard, this was on the neurology session, but she was in a wheelchair and her dog became paralyzed and she was vegan. And we did back surgery on her dog and her dog got better. And and the resident comes to me and she's like, so this patient is vegan and she's wondering about foods for her dog. Do you want to talk to her about that? And I'm like,
hey, yeah,
I'd be happy to. Like, and I went and just explained everything to her, but also like explain that, like, and I went to UC Davis. It was great. The nutrition program was very friendly to vegan dog foods. Like we'd formulate vegan diets for dogs if their people were vegan. And they're like, yes, of course, a dog can be healthy on a vegan diet. And we have vegan diets specifically for dogs who have liver problems or skin problems.
Yeah.
Of course. Like, yes, we have commercial dog foods that are vegan. Yes,
they do great
definitely.
on a vegan diet. Yeah.
And so I was talking to her about like Royal Canin vegetarian but I'm also like, but the thing about vegan diets with your dog is they're going to poop more and you're going to have to take this dog out to go potty often, a little bit more often. So, whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to, share the goods.
Get a doggy door. Get a doggy door. Come on. Dogs can poop when they want to poop.
Yeah. I mean, so it was just like waking up to like, the vast majority of vet students, like I went through vet school with a completely different experience than they do. They viewed C barn as totally cool and chill. They viewed the small animal world as uptight and whatever. And I had the opposite experience. I met these shelter vets who were amazing. And I felt like I was at home there doing that. And some people are like, I want to practice high quality medicine with all the fancy stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. I want to be able to provide care for as many animals as possible. Like I am completely bored by fancy diagnostics and looking at CT scans and MRIs and doing these like spinal punctures and doing these dentals. And I hate it. I just want to like
help animals,
give as many vaccines as I can, parasite treatment, spay and neuter them, get them out the door, give them antibiotics when they're sick. I don't want to waste time doing swabs of shit. Like let's just like, how can we treat as many animals as possible, as cheaply as possible? That's what I'm passionate about. Everybody thinks I'm a weirdo and I'm not practicing good medicine because I'm cutting corners. But now I've been proved right. Now we have access to care. We have spectrum of care. And I fit in that, offering high quality, high volume service to a lot of animals in this spectrum of care that we now appreciate as a thing, where it used to be, if you're not demanding gold standard medicine, you are doing a shoddy job. And I'm just
more
like,
money,
no.
More expensive. Get more. The most expensive care isn't necessarily the best care, right? I mean, it's just a way for them to make money a lot of times, co-opted by industry.
No, it's not. It's not, because I'm talking to those people who currently are a little bit dismissive of access to care, spectrum of care. They don't believe that offering gold standard Cadillac medicine is just a way to make money. They believe that is practicing good medicine and offering their patients the best care and letting the caretaker decide what they can and can't afford, which, yes, we should be offering choices and we should value our patients. Well, they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it for like the love of veterinary medicine, the love of their patients, and like advancing medicine, which is great. I like to provide care to the least, the ones who have nothing.
The
That's
underdogs,
what
if
I'm
you pardon the pun.
passionate about.
The undercats and the underdogs. Well, before we transition to the next topic, I did want to ask you, because a lot of people are kind of asking this, I kind of wanted to get you on the record just to tell me what Our Honor's theory of change is, because we're kind of like, we're showing this kind of this vulnerability, what's going on, and we're always investigating and looking at the issues that we'd like to change. But maybe we could say it out loud. What is Our Honor's theory of change?
People do not trust vegans and animal rights activists. And those are the ones usually trying their hardest to advance the interests of animals, to set policy that'll protect animals in society. But nobody trusts them because do-gooder derogation, like, let's face it, that's like the main reason. Vegans have taken a moral stance and everybody else feels judged by it. And they feel that they're weirdos, which many vegans are weirdos, let's be frank. But people trust veterinarians. We are the experts in animals. But a lot of veterinarians, like we've discussed, are stuck in this system that has this certain institutional inertia. They're stuck in the old ways of thinking. Medicine is very stuck in legacy theories about things. And we need to encourage people to see what those systems of manipulation are. And once veterinarians are empowered to speak out and speak their mind and not get stuck, recognize those thought-stopping cliches like animal rights hurts animal welfare, and the way we just passed the declaw ban in California against the wishes of the CVMA. And for a long time, it was like, well, if we don't allow declawing, then people are just going to send the cats are going to end up in the shelter. People are going to request euthanasias because they can't, and that's just not true. The research doesn't prove that, but people continue to repeat these same old mantras. So we're helping veterinarians to see these patterns, to speak out, to open their mind. And those veterinarians who are already there, who already support things like declaw bans, are against ventilation shutdown, or against pig gestation crates, see a future where we are not dependent on animal-based protein and not dependent on vivarium-based animal experimentation. We're going to give those veterinarians a voice and put them in positions where they can influence change. We're going to help advocacy campaigns by providing those campaigns with veterinarians who can lend legitimacy to their campaigns. Because for far too long, the industries have relied on veterinarians to legitimize their crimes against animals, like gestation crates, like ventilation shutdown. These are crimes against animals that have been legitimized by veterinarians who are stuck and indoctrinated into this cult mentality. So we are doing the opposite. We are using the veterinary profession's moral authority to help advance animal protection through policy. So I hope that makes sense.
I think it makes perfect sense. And if anyone would like to help Our Honor fight that fight, we're fortunate enough to have a matching grant donor this until the end of 2025. We're really happy about that. That means 5 will get you 10, 10 will get you 20. If you donate to Our Honor by going to ourhonor.org/donate, you can help Our Honor affect this theory of change. I think it's a worthy cause, and I hope that you do too. So please head on over to ourhonor.org/donate, make a donation, and every donation will be matched through December of 2025. Our goal This month is 5,000. We are on our way, but we still have a long way to go. So please help us out. We'd like to hit $5,000 in September. That'll get us $10,000 in September, and that funds investigations, FOIA requests, writing papers, all the good stuff that Our Honor is doing to try to make that happen. Antonio Diaz says, famous Mark Twain quote about being fooled is it's easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled.
Yeah.
Antonio Diaz, I love that quote, but I use the one from Carl Sagan a lot, how it's it's so painful to admit that you've been bamboozled.
Mm-hmm.
It's less painful to just go along with the bamboozle.
How do we maybe that's what we need to do, is to make it okay to be bamboozled. Everybody think about a time when you were bamboozled.
Yes.
And tell your story of when you were bamboozled. I've been bamboozled many times.
We've all fallen for cons. Con men abound.
Good faith, especially if you're an idealistic person who you're all about self-growth and improvement and seeing good in the world and assuming good faith in others. We are especially morally vulnerable to being bamboozled by narcissistic sociopaths.
Yeah, and also most people are pretty honest. Like, I think that if you go get your car fixed at the mechanic, 9 out of 10 are gonna give you an honest, straight up answer. They're not going to try to give you some kind of con game, but it's that one guy who's going to say, oh, you got beavers in your transmission, and you're going to be taken for a ride. And then all car mechanics get a bad name, Everyone has been conned. I think we need to treat people with grace. This is how I feel about in politics. I think that everyone should be given the space, and that's part of what we're doing with these content, with these podcasts, is to provide people the space to question authority, to provide people with the space to question the leadership, and start coming to terms with these things, and maybe admit that, hey, we've all been taken for a ride, and it's okay. Speaking of being taken for a ride, though, I want to get on to the next topic, and it's Trump has canceled studies on health impacts of industrialized hog farms that produce biogas.
Let me pull that up here, because I actually haven't read this story, so maybe you can pull it up and we can read it together, because I'm not seeing that on our
it. North Carolina research would have provided crucial data on understudied effects of the burgeoning industry of predominantly Black and Indigenous Latino residents, but we're not going to get it because Donald Trump has decided he's not going to do this. The Trump administration has canceled a $417,000 federal grant that would have funded research on the social and economic impacts of biogas production from the industrialized swine operations in North Carolina. Over several years, scientists from the RTI International in Durham and Gillings School of Public Health at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill had planned to continuously monitor the air and periodically sample rivers, streams, and private drinking water in Duplin and Sampson counties. The study would also have collected health data on those communities. Duplin and Sampson rank first and second in the nation, respectively, in the number of swine farms, according to University of Michigan study. They account for 4.2 million hogs on roughly 900 farms. State environmental data shows a small percentage of which have received state permits to produce biogas. Census data that reminds me, I have to respond to an email that seems very interesting, but let me not forget that. Census data shows tracts near these concentrated animal feeding operations are predominantly Black, Indigenous, or Latino. The research is important because swine gas operations are proliferating in North Carolina, yet there is scant data on the environmental and health effects near these facilities, according to the RTI and UNC scientists. The community research conducted in Duplin and Sampson counties on the biogas production project were sponsored by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the National Institutes of Environmental and Health Sciences. The biogas study was one of at least 1,700 projects that lost funding earlier this year after the Trump administration terminated $783 million in grants at the NIEHS parent
parent agency, which is the National Institute of Environmental and Health Sciences, the National Institutes of Health. Although it is unclear if the biogas studies was singled out for its environmental justice focus, similar projects were targeted. The U.S. Supreme Court last month upheld the administration's cuts by a 5-4 vote. A lower court judge had blocked the cancellations on the grounds that they were discriminatory.
They were discriminatory because they were looking at environmental justice, and they weren't looking at white neighborhoods. They were looking at black and brown neighborhoods that are near these areas. Unbelievable, man.
North Carolina scientists led by Crystal Lee Powell Jackson. Yay, another Crystal. Somebody whose parents thought they would be a stripper, but they became a scientist instead. I love it. Had conducted one round of private well sampling and collected initial air quality, but had yet to sample near an active swine gas operation when the Trump administration canceled the grant. We couldn't complete the full research, but there is valuable baseline data in this, said Courtney Woods, an associate professor at UNC's Department of Environmental Sciences and Engineering. She also leads the programs at the University of Environment, Climate and Health Equity and Social Justice. Major pork producers tout biogas as a solution to the industry's methane problem. In 2018, swine manure emitted 970,000 tons of methane nationally. Federal data show second only to dairy, but they're capturing it, right? So
they're capturing it, so it's fine. It's fine. What's the big deal? What are you worried about?
Methane is the most natural thing in the world, right? It's
completely normal.
Grass and producing methane. That's how the world functions, right?
That's natural. What are you worried about?
Major pork producers tout biogas as a solution to the industry's methane problem. We're capturing it now and we're putting it into our vehicles, so it's fine. In 2000, I watched a TikTok of how do you know when somebody is being the bad guy in a situation? It's when they say what the other person says, but with a voice. And I just realized I did that.
Oh, is that how you know someone's a bad guy? When you go like,
when somebody's spinning a narrative,
when someone's mocking the other one,
what the other person said, but they did it with a certain voice instead of just saying what the person said. And I'm like, I just realized I did that.
I don't think that makes you a bad guy if you're like, I think guns should be given to children. Derp, 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 derp. I mean, that's perfectly like. I think every 10-year-old should walk around with a gun in school. I think that's
in 2018, the swine manure emitted. We already said this: 970,000 tons of methane nationally. Federal data show. I feel like they repeated that number twice in this story.
I think they're padding the runtime.
Oh no, I lost my place, but you get the picture.
The gist. Yeah. So so now a study that could have yielded incredible information about what is actually going on pig farms, about all of the big ag and big gas, is now gone because they said it was too woke, basically.
Yeah, or you're studying, Black, Indigenous, people of color, which
BIPOC, you're not allowed to study anything that affects them because that's racist. So wonderful. The NAACP in North Carolina, Poor People's Campaign, they have a complaint about this, but I doubt that it'll go anywhere. But yeah, there we go. And someone asked, is North Carolina a blue state? Yes, it is, but it is kind of purple, like a lot of our states. It went blue, but it's pretty purple. It's pretty purple. Someone asked that. You never know about North Carolina. It's a little bit. It's just south of Virginia. So
I do realize we really did. We talked about the declaw ban, but we should just probably mention it again and play the little video of Alex Lee, the great Alex Lee, representative. You can pull that up. It's at the top of the document.
Yeah,
it's
I got
Facebook. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but we just banned declawing in California after many years of the California Veterinary Medical Association killing this legislation. It passed, I think, the Senate 60-0. Nobody voted against the declaw ban. That's how strong it was. So yay, California finally protecting cats, veterinarians, and the public.
Is there sound? Is there a lot of sound in this video?
Yeah, it's kind of cute. Yeah, can you not play it? Or
The sound I could play it, but it just told me I don't have sound. I have to reload my screen real fast. If you give me 30 seconds, I'll be able to do that. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
It's very cute. Like Alex Lee talks about when he was just a staffer working on this declaw bill, and now he is the representative who was the author of this, and he got it passed. So, and he's a huge cat person. He has cat stuff all over his office door, and he's just seems like the most delightful human being. And I just love Alex Lee so much.
Here we go, Alex Lee.
Alex Lee, the great Alex Lee.
Back the bill that will finally ban the barbaric practice of cutting off the first parts of the fingers of our cats. Now, this is a bill I actually worked on as a staffer when I worked for Senator Stern a long time ago. So it's really a great honor to come full circle for this bill to finally become law of the land. And on behalf,
he got it. He did it. I like the puppet.
Half of all our cats on cat parents, please respectfully vote for this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Assembly Member.
Huh?
And they did vote for the bill.
Where's Alex Lee? Is Alex Lee your representative?
No, he's out of San Jose area, I want to say. I don't know. I should know this.
I like the puppet. I think the puppet's
Lee. All debate having ceased, the clerk will
Why is it
open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote.
Santa Clara County, Alameda and Santa Clara County.
All members vote who desire to vote.
Anyway, we don't have to show the vote, but because everybody, not a single person voted against it. It was fantastic.
100% voted to ban declawing in California. I love it.
And it's all thanks to the veterinarians, Dr. Jennifer Conrad, great hero for the animals, who, oh my gosh, the stories she tells. I hope she can come on our podcast sometime and talk to us about the horrible treatment she got from fellow veterinarians.
Let's manifest that. What's her name?
Yeah, Dr. Jennifer Conrad. I need to text her again and just say congratulations. And she's the great film American Cats, which is screening in various places, but there's no place for anyone to go watch it. It needs to be on Netflix. Every vet student needs to watch American Cats. It is hilarious. It is, you think, oh, this is a funny little cat movie. And then it's like corporate corruption in the AVMA. And it's the most wonderful movie.
But nobody can see it?
And nobody can see it yet. I think we got to bug Netflix to get them to.
Or get it on YouTube Premium or something, so we can I'll get it on first, or Amazon, $3.99 on Amazon. I want to see it. I'll watch. I know.
I would pay. We got to figure out. Maybe I can ask her if we can screen it in vet school.
Ooh, or maybe we screen it on our Honor channel. We'll just screen it and then just delete it afterwards. We'll just react to it while
do
it's
a live, Mystery Science Theater 3000 American Cats.
What's the name of it? The name of it's American Cats, but apparently you can't find it. Yeah, American Cats.
It's nowhere you can watch it easily, unfortunately. But if there's a screening near you, do whatever you can. It's the Michelin 3-star of movies. If there's a screening somewhere, you need to fly there to get it, to watch it. It's that important.
Maybe we can get it out there. We can demand it go to your Regal manager and demand that you want to see American Cats. He'll be like, the Aristocats,
American Cats,
the Disney movie. Yeah. So the cat declaw. I love that the declaw ban worked, man. I called my state legislator, so I hope that I did my small part.
Yeah. I wrote a thing in I never did an op-ed about California specifically banning it. But I did op-eds and stuff in other states. And my best one was the Chicago Policy Review article that me and Nikki Gianni wrote that I just referenced over and over again, because it debunks all of the myths that the VMAs were perpetuating about why they shouldn't ban declawing. And so check it out if you want to see that. But next on the docket is
I have it right here. I want to put that on the stage. Give me a second.
This is the worst agriculture comedy of my lifetime over the past 3 years, and right this minute guys are going under, as in bankruptcy or leaving the farm. This guy explains.
Are they crying wolf? Do you think it says that farmers are crying wolf? The wolf
I
is
don't.
real and right outside the door in the form of generational collapse.
Yeah, it's big ag again. What I've been always saying all along, the interests of Cargill will always be protected. The interests of JBS, of Smithfield, of who else? Tyson,
Pilgrim's Pride,
Calmaine Foods, all of their interests will be protected. The small producer, the people working to actually graze those animals will always be screwed. And that's what a lot of these farmers are saying. But also related to the feed crop thing, Cargill's raking in the money while the people who actually grow the feed crops are suffering. So,
yeah, year after year of sweeping all of this S word under the rug and pretending it's not happening has got us to this point. Years of barely squeaking by, surviving with a bailout, and then doing it all again. That is the definition of insanity. All right, I love it. Let's stop bailing them out.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like, where is this guy? Woodruff County. He's in Arkansas. Yeah, we've all seen the videos of the Arkansans crying and praying all together for another bailout. But and they're blaming also the fact that all of their crops are not being bought by China due to our foreign policy. We've given. So I mean, if you're China, why are you going to buy from Arkansas at this point? Like, what reason would you have? I don't know what Splorum is. Splorum, is that the name of this? And they don't have any place to sell some of these crops here in America. Only people in China buy it. So they're screwed, man.
They all tell me they're aware of the monopoly problem and they don't deny it exists, but they do nothing. Instead, we get bailouts and the money slips right out of our hands and into the big corporations we owe money to, the monopolies. Meanwhile, those same corporations lobby for us to get the bailouts. Get it? So yeah, the big corporations lobby for them to get bailouts, but then it just goes right back to the big corporations because they're in debt to them. This is what farmers know and experience. You can bet your ass the monopolies will get their money. If you think otherwise, you've got blinders on. Heath Graves says, at every level of agriculture, there must be a reckoning. The September 2nd farm meeting held a stone's throw outside of Jonesboro at Woods Chapel Baptist was monumental, says retired Do-It grower Kenneth Graves, 71. I'd say 400 people or so showed up, maybe more. We're talking about people standing outside the building in the middle of harvest.
Yeah,
that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, it was bonkers, and they're all sitting there, and they all voted for this. So I don't know how to put it. I mean, when I did a political campaign, I was a campaign manager in Virginia, and we did a lot of meetings with the Farm Bureau, and they would have fundraisers and stuff, and they're all voting against their interests. They're constantly voting against their interests, but I don't know how to get them to vote the right way. We could have stopped this a long time ago. Look at the seed, chemicals, and fertilizer. It's all in the hands of a few companies that are the only game in town. You want to fix farming? I love this. Here's their theory of change. Start a federal investigation on those big companies. Yes. Booming quarterly earnings and big stock dividends make no sense when farmers can't pitch a penny. What do you think about that?
I think that's why we need to be able to foster relationships with farmers, because we all think the same thing and they have divided us. They have pinned us against each other by creating these fake teams of animal rights versus blah, blah, blah. When we're all on the same team here and we all want a healthy food system.
Yeah, here's the scene of them all sitting there praying together and complaining. I think it is sad, but I mean, sorry guys. I mean, you did it to yourselves. If corn prices were to suddenly jump this month, nitrogen prices will magically rise the following year. If soybean prices explode to $15 tomorrow, a bag of beans will climb to $90 guaranteed. Potash will hit $1,000. The monopoly problem is real. Dr. Heath, I feel like you and I have been talking about this forever now. So
I,
Hello.
but who are they going to vote for? The Democrats? They do the same thing.
Democrats
Nobody.
do the same thing, but to a far lower degree. And also, it's not that it's going to come down to, although right now they're feeling the pinch of national foreign policy, but this goes beyond that. This is local politics. This is their state legislators. This is the people inside of Arkansas that are screwing them.
Yeah.
These guys have getting the short end of the stick for generations, and they're telling us that. They're saying for generations we get the short end of the stick, then we appeal to the federal government for a bailout because that's all the federal government's good for now.
Because socialism.
Yeah, because socialists, they're begging for socialism now, but they keep on voting for despots on both levels. It's really quite tragic because it isn't all about the president. It is this time in this particular flashpoint, it is particularly felt by the farmers because of what's happening in China and India and Brazil. But but this isn't a new problem. This is a problem that was caused by generations of people voting against their interests because of hucksters coming up. Now I got an idea, and people like, I'm just a common man. People putting on a fake accent and trying to appealing to these people, carpetbaggers, and taking advantage of these men and women, these families.
I know.
They're done. It's over. I don't even know. Like, I mean, does anyone have faith that there's going to be investigations on these monopolies?
It's up to us to do the investigations on these monopolies. We need to exercise our freedom of information. And we are the ones who break news stories. We are the ones who get these stories in the media. So if you want to get your talking points in the media, talk to us and let's do some investigations ourselves. We can't rely on them to do the investigations. We have to do the investigations. Start with the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said.
Be like Michael Jackson, not too much like Michael Jackson.
Farmers are literally losing money per acre while big agriculture is making hundreds of millions of dollars and more. How can that be sustainable? You can make all the excuses or justifications you like, but any fair-minded person knows the situation is way out of balance. Who said that? Robert Reich? No, some random farmer in Arkansas.
Yeah, I know. They feel it. It's really funny because when you talk to these farmers, they sound like borderline communists half the time. Yeah. And I'm going, guys, you are voting for the wrong group. You've been swindled. Talk about a group that's been swindled by con men. These guys are victims. I truly believe that. Like, I've known lots of farmers over the years, and they are just bamboozled, hoodwinked. It really is. Remember when that Chinese spy balloon flew over the U.S. in 2023 and our politicians did nothing? They made a lot of noise and acted too late, shooting it down after collected data across the country, Graves adds. It's a past time to act. Our politicians either recognize this now or let us be some other country's economic hostage later. We're already economic hostages. What are they talking
Agriculture's
about?
handbrake must be pulled, Buffalo says, with an economic reversal contingent on a deep look at consolidation, moratoriums, and diversification via both a federal and state lens. In his opinion, the following 4 changes are in order. Start with monopolies. State constitutions have antitrust legislation. Create smoke at the state level and force the USDA and the feds to follow. Put an indefinite moratorium on all mergers and acquisitions in food and ag sectors. End consolidation and demand long-lasting change. Get a handle on DC lobbyists, according to a 2024 report, Cultivating Control. Lobbying by agribusiness sector has steadily increased. In just the last 5 years, the agribusiness sector annual lobbying expenditures have risen 22% from $145 million in 2019 to $177 million in 2023. And each year, agribusiness spends more on federal lobbying than the oil and gas industry and defense sector.
That's it. That's it.
And the grain industry must diversify. I think diversification must be a part of any solution. And I'm talking about an effort to grow all of our food in this country. Our grain goes to feed and ethanol, but we need a structure to grow our own edible food as well and protect our national security like never before.
Couldn't agree more. Maybe we should stop growing grains to feed animals. What do you think, doctor? Maybe we should maybe we should have stopped doing it this way a long time ago. A lot of what they're growing is for feed. A lot of I've been to Arkansas and I was going to look up what are the main crops, because Arkansas is really known for chicken flesh,
Yeah.
lots of
Tyson,
chicken.
home of Tyson. Yeah.
Mhm. What are the main crops in Arkansas? I want to say it's probably corn and sorghum. Let's
Soybean.
see,
Soybean.
rice. Their
Rice.
crops are rice, which leads the nation in production. The top rice producer.
Wow.
Major crops.
California was the top rice producer, but what do we know? I guess
There's lots of rice in California up north. It's every time I see it, it's like, wow, I forgot we grow rice here. It's
County.
crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You go to the agricultural, what's his name? He's the agricultural legislative guy in the state capitol. God, I forget his name, but you go into his office and it's like that guy is bought by Big Rice. All of the rice industry sends him all of these gifts.
Oh,
And
really?
I'm like, oh wow, you're bought and sold by Big Rice. I see.
The top agricultural products in Arkansas are rice, soybeans, which soybeans right there, you're dead. China has halted all soybean and rice imports from the United States. So right there, kills Arkansas immediately. Third is cotton. Fourth is wheat. Fifth is feed grains, which I think is rapeseed and sorghum mostly, and horticulture, which grows other crops, including vegetables, fruits, and ornamental plants. But rice, soybeans, and cotton, that's it. You're done, man. If China stops buying it, you're done. But I've been looking at, this is not just an Arkansas problem. In 2025, September, U.S. sorghum exports to China have plummeted, causing severe financial issues for many American farmers, because guess what? There's no sorghum market here at home. Americans don't eat sorghum. So looks like there's a big problem. The whole sorghum market has collapsed. It's dropped by 97% from last year. If you lose 97% of your customers, you're done. I mean, they're saying that there's more bankruptcies this year in the last 5 months than in the last 5 years since before COVID. That's the worst amount of bankruptcies, and a lot of that's farms. Yeah. Bankruptcies and foreclosures. These conditions have pushed some farmers into bankruptcies and caused related agricultural businesses also to fail. In West Texas, at least 7 grain elevators have closed. That's big. Broader U.S. farm bankruptcy filings have increased in 2025, with economists citing trade uncertainty as the high input costs as major contributing factors. I mean, they're getting hit farmers are getting it from all ends at this point, right? They've had their workforces evaporate because of our immigration policies, of canceling visas. They've had their export markets disappear. It's just getting worse and worse. I mean,
if I was a farmer right now and I had a bunch of land, what I would probably do is sell, and I would invest all of that money into JBS and Company Foods.
Yeah.
Just to hedge my bets a little bit. I might keep a little plot of land to grow food for myself.
You'll be a subsistence farmer.
Because I'm used to farming. I've got all the equipment. I'm not going to be able to sell my tractor for very much. Well, tractors are going for a lot of money, but used tractors. But it's better, I think, to hang on to my tractor than to sell it and then have to buy a tractor in the future when
it's funny
comes.
I saw an interview from one of those farmers in the Arkansas in the 400 group, and he was saying that his tractor is 50. All of his equipment is 50 years old.
Yeah,
50.
But dude, hang on to that tractor, because right now the new tractors, they break down. You are John Deere has you by a stranglehold. You can't fix it without spending a ton of money. John Deere, old tractors, you can fix yourself. The new ones with the electronics and stuff, no, you need a special John Deere person to come in to do all of that stuff, and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. So this is why I kind of I gave my parents my old truck, which is the just regular old truck that's you could fix it yourself, all of
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
stuff. And I have my
Internal
Tesla.
combustion engine. Hmm.
Man, zombie apocalypse comes, I really want that old truck back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know what? In the movie, zombie apocalypse always has the trucks working and everything.
Mhm.
But the only problem with that, zombie apocalypses are really far-fetched because without oil refinement,
That's the thing.
there's no gasoline. Like the gasoline has a shelf life about 6 months, and your gasoline goes dead, becomes
Well,
inert.
I wonder if the Tesla could I have a solar panel.
You could do it with solar maybe, as long as you can keep that working.
Yeah.
Do that long
Yeah.
charge. Wouldn't
But
that be great?
how long will the solar panels last, and the batteries, the Tesla batteries? How long is that going to last?
Longer
Maybe
than
last about-
gasoline.
yeah.
Longer than gasoline. I think that if you can maintain your equipment, you can keep because I mean when they build those solar fields, they're looking like 50 to 100 years. They want to keep that thing in operation. So clearly they last a long time. But like if you just have gallons of gasoline, like they always show people in the zombie movies like siphoning out gasoline and putting it in, and they're all like fight, or like in Mad Max, they're fighting for gasoline. But that's all just fiction. There would be no gasoline.
Yeah.
We would be
So
pushing.
how long does gasoline last again on the shelf?
I think it's like 6 months. Let me go. Let me make sure. Let me fact check myself.
Can you make biodiesel? How easy is it for the layperson to make their own biodiesel?
Oh, I've seen it done at makers fairs and things, but that's a different engine. So you have to convert the engine. So
yeah, you need a diesel. If you have a diesel truck, though, right?
Yeah,
or do you need a.
You could convert a diesel truck much more easily. Yeah. Yeah. But it's not, I mean, it's not, you still need to know what you're doing, but you could do it. And I'm sure that got 3 to 6 months, though it can be extended to 1 to 3 years with fuel stabilizers and proper storage in sealed containers. Factors like the presence of ethanol and exposure to oxygen and moisture and the storage container type all affect how quickly gasoline degrades. You can tell if gasoline has gone bad by its sour smell and darker color. We know how that looks, right? It's dark ass gasoline, and the possible appearance of sludge or separated layers. I mean, you've probably seen like you always have like at least when I grew up, we had a gas mower, and you would sometimes, sometimes like your little can of gasoline that was clear, you could see that it was separating and it had gone bad. It could cause poor engine performance. Yeah,
I've just identified a area of weakness in my prepper strategy. What I do need to purchase, I think, is a bicycle. I do not have a bicycle. And that would be very good to get around on with the coming apocalypse.
If there's an apocalypse, you're going to want to have a bicycle. That's true. Yeah. Although if there's a real apocalypse and we're talking like a mad die-off, I feel like there's going to be plenty of bicycles to be had. Like we have an abundance of bicycles.
You do. I always see people walking down the street with like 2 bicycles for some reason.
Yeah. Because they stole one. But like if you could, if you think about it, if you're clever and you know this, that when the apocalypse happens and everyone is going at and trying to rob liquor stores and gas stations, you could just go to loot the bicycle shop and take your pick.
I'd rather obtain my bicycle ethically, and I'd like it fitted to me because I am bougie in my apocalypse.
Yes, you're bougie. Your post-apocalyptic
I do
trappings. Yeah.
So fun story. My the cat clinic just moved to a new location, and I can get to it car free, which is phenomenal. Took the metro and then rode my one wheel to the thing, and it was so much fun.
Amazing. You rode a one wheel?
Yeah, I have a one wheel. I highly recommend. Do you know what those are?
Yeah, it's like a skateboard with the wheel in the middle, right?
Yeah, it's so much fun.
I can't even imagine you on one of those.
Why?
Because they're heavy.
Mine's a pint. It weighs 20 pounds. And
okay, yours is smaller than because I've ridden them and I picked them up and they're like.
The normal like GT, which I kind of want, is 27 pounds, but I don't really have to carry. Like I just ride it to the metro station. The Hollywood metro station doesn't have an elevator, which sucks. So you do have to like carry it down the escalators. And they've got so many escalators, but the North Hollywood station where I exit like I just get off the train and straight into the elevator, go up, and then get on my board and like go, and it's great.
I love that. I used to work at a place near the beach, and I would take the bus up Pacific Coast Highway and then skateboard from the bus stop to my business place. And man, I loved it. By the time I got off my skateboard, I was like, I'm ready to work. I'm in a good mood. You know, it just felt good. And during the pandemic, because it just got so crazy, I skateboarded. I changed. I was working for the same company, but I was working for a place much closer, one of their subsidiaries, and it's just a skateboard to work. And no traffic, you know, there's no one in the streets. And those were some nice moments of the pandemic that I remember. I love being on that. But a one wheel, it's great. That's awesome.
So much fun. So dangerous, but whatever.
Well, maybe though, if you could have a skateboard with some good wheels, like some snake wheels, you could have that in during the apocalypse.
Skateboard with 4 wheels, that's got 3 too many wheels, and the one wheel can go on grass way better than a skateboard can.
That's true, but you're talking about post-apocalypse. Your one wheel is not, unless you charge it with your solar panels, I guess.
Yeah, that's electric, and so I charge it on. I have this little generator in my car. You know, you've seen the generator that crapped out the last time we were in the.
You charge it on that. Okay.
That thing also has a solar panel, so I can charge it with a solar panel connected to that, and so I'm set for that. Although I would love the GT or now they made one that's like the Rally XR one wheel, which is $3,500, but it goes hella fast. It goes like 25 miles per hour, and it goes on trails, and it goes uphill like no problem. Like mine goes uphill stuff, but it struggles.
My apocalypse is going to be far less bougie than your apocalypse.
Yeah,
I've established that. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a one wheel anytime soon. Although they are really fun to ride. They're really fun. But hey, we talked about that, but I want to talk about these cardiologists. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just realized I uploaded the wrong link. So I'm gonna remove that. I want to remove this from the stage for some reason. It's not letting me. My screen share. Maybe I'll just share another here.
Add to stage. Here you go. This one.
Not that one. No, I want to remove that one. How do I? Oh, I just stop
sharing.
There we go. And then I'm going to share screen, and I guess I'll just share my window. Entire screen.
Dangerous.
Share this. I got nothing to hide. Dietary and lifestyle habits of cardiologists. So we're all like, we just need to inform people, and then they will make the right decisions, right? No, cardiologists, even the ones 41% recommend a whole foods plant-based diet. Only 8% are able to personally comply with that. Why do you think that is?
40% of cardiologists say, hey, you should have a whole food plant-based diet, and only 8% actually do it. I think that because their why is health. I don't think people care about their health. I think that people are...
Even cardiologists don't care about their health.
They care, but they care more about a good night than they do care about a long life. It's like, why did
short-term thinking?
Yeah, like I'm on a diet.
These are people who went to school for millions of years and went into debt. These are people who know long-term. That
doesn't mean they don't, but they more enjoy a bottle of wine than they do a 6-pack of abs. You know.
By the way, you can have a whole foods plant-based. Okay, is it whole foods plant-based diet with a bottle of wine? I guess you can. I guess that's not considered whole foods plant-based.
I mean, it's either way. You could drink your wine. I guess the point is they like their hamburger. I was trying to make a joke about a bottle of wine and a 6-pack of abs. That was the joke. But no, they care more about their night out with steaks, and they get taken out by their cardiologists. They get taken out by pharmaceutical hacks and salespeople, and they go on yachts and eat 3-inch steaks.
Are the pharmaceutical reps giving them steak stuff, or could they be like, no, you got to take me out to Shenzhen, the nice vegan sushi place? They're gonna go wherever they want them to go. So
Yeah, but they want
I
a
think
good night. If someone else is paying, they want
is
someone.
Shazam not a good night?
I guess
Is
it might be. I've never been, but I think that they think of it as pleasure. They think this is pleasurable. I worked hard for my money. I went to school for a long time, and now I'm rich. I'm a cardiologist. I want to reap the benefits of my
Interesting.
sacrifice.
I think that is the mainstream failed vegan philosophy of what shapes people's behavior. Just the idea of like the wealthier people get, the more meat they're going to eat. It's just like inherent nature. The cardiologists are wealthy, so they're going to eat more meat because they like it. But I think that ignores the fact of how strategic the animal-based protein industry is in their marketing that makes us helpless to them.
Yeah, I think it's
And
the same as alcohol. Like they spent billions of dollars to make sure that when I celebrate something, the first thing I think of is bottle of champagne. That is billions of dollars spent over the course of 100 years. That's how it's in my brain immediately. Hey, let's go celebrate. What should we do? Let's get an expensive bottle of champagne from France. Like,
yeah, interesting. Yeah. And it's marketing. We're not just talking about like advertisements on TV and on billboards. It's the how society is shaped, how many nudges you get, how you see your options, your choices when you go to a restaurant, and how they're presented to you, and how few choices there are for a high protein animal free meal at many restaurants. Like your choices are shaped in so many different ways, and even cardiologists are helpless to resist that sort of manipulation by these large corporations. So
yeah, and also it's not just these ads either, or it's also in the movies. They have product placement. It's all of it, right? You're the average person sees you're just constantly surrounded by it. It's what do they call it? Cultural speciesism.
What can we do about this fact?
About the fact that cardiologists are enjoying opulence. I really wish. Well, can I ask you a question? You know, you and I are roughly the same age, and both of us don't remember the 70s, but do you feel like the 70s were a little bit more, just a feeling, just facts don't care about your feelings, but do you feel like the 70s seem almost like pre-corporate, like people were making stuff on their own, they were macrameing their own shirt, their own dresses and stuff? And
I remember like even in the 80s, my grandma was sewing my own clothes and like making my own Halloween costumes and stuff like that.
My mom sewed my own Halloween and because they were like products of the 60s and 70s, right? And
I was in 4-H and I spun wool.
I feel like that gave you more social status. I made this shirt. I made my kids a friggin'
the trad wives are bringing us back there though.
I wish they were, but the trad wives are just as materialistic. I wish that were true. When I heard about trad wives, I thought, oh great, we're gonna go back to pickling.
This sounds wonderful.
Not in that way, not politically. But I thought maybe one of the good things that could result from that is this maybe tactile, like let's give people more social status for sewing their kids' Halloween costumes, but instead your kid is a piece of shit if you don't buy him the $100
the brand. This is the Labubu. This is my 4-carat Labubu.
When I was a kid, I remember for years my mom sewed me a big stuffed dinosaur with her sewing machine, and she wasn't like a seamstress. She knew how to use a sewing machine. That was like, she wasn't always doing it or something. My mom was a paralegal when I was a kid. She wouldn't have all that time, but she did have some time to make shit for me. And
so what do we do about the cardiologists?
So here's where I'm at. I think we have to make opulence be less cool. Like
opulence less cool again.
Yeah, make opulence make opulence deplorable again. Make opulence abhorrent. Yeah, make MOPA, make horrible, make it less. Anyway, it sucks. People are we worship these people who have money, and therefore the people who have the money, they behave in this way that is destructive and exploitative. What do you think?
I don't know. I think there's all sorts of ways that we can be effective. Like, let's look at what the meat industry is doing, and it's just like all of these nudges of people all the time, and it's up to us to just keep talking about this.
But Crystal,
and we, by talking about this and reaching more of a diverse audience, we can be as effective as the marketers. Right now, the meat industry is taking advantage of TikTok and Reels and all of this stuff, and encouraging these ag influencers to share their stories and make their stuff cool. We have a duty to make high quality social media content that isn't engaging and that will push back against that. So I think when we're putting out, all of you vegans who are sharing my stuff and just writing cruelty, not gonna cut it. You need to do something, write something thoughtful that is actually going to get some engagement. You, Mr. Vegan 1234 on Instagram or social media, you are failing the movement. Use your real effing name and make a name for yourself.
The only thing that I'm worried
about this.
The only thing I'm worried about with this is that the nudges you're talking about is already existing. It's not existing in a vacuum, right? It's existing in the context of modern life, and modernity seems to be like, well, masculinity is hyper masculinity. That's what we want, and opulence. Yeah, that's what it means to be successful, is to be opulent, and symbols of that are eating meat. It's crazy to me that we've turned being masculine into eating the flesh of poor defenseless animals, and also being opulent and enjoying wealth, that one of the trappings of wealth, in addition to diamonds and pearls and labubus
and one wheels, yes,
and one wheel and maybe a one wheel. No, I don't think one wheels are necessarily, they're a little expensive, but they're, I don't know, they're kind of whatever. You're just,
I got mine
derailing
used,
me.
by the way.
Derailing me.
It only had 2 miles on it, and I got for $600.
The status symbols is what Antonio Diaz is saying. Yes, they're status symbols. I think we need to change the status symbols. And I think this is something that you're going to disagree with, I think we should meet opulent displays with scorn and shame people like they used to. It used to be, if you were so gaudy and disgusting, driving like a disgusting Rolls Royce, it used to be that was looked down upon. Like, you think you're better than everybody.
The best way, though, isn't this moral superiority of like, I am so much better than you because I have less and I don't spend my money on stuff like that. It's just to make fun. Like, if you are humorous about it, that is so much more persuasive than just being a moral scold. So
yeah, not maybe
be funny.
I don't know how to be. Yeah, I think I try to be funny, and I think also creating space to question those in power. I think that's a really important part of what we do together. But I don't know how to break necessarily the cycle. I forget what it's called, but it's when you are oppressed and then you become the oppressor, like a rapper,
like
a rapper.
Israel, but...
Oh yeah, yeah, a good point. I was thinking more in the case of like rappers who grow up in poor neighborhoods, and then they make it and they get money, and what do they do?
Rape women.
Well, they do things. Yeah, they do things that the oppressor was doing, like wear fur coats, something that they would hate somebody for, partly out of jealousy, but also how dare you skin 50 dead animals, you skin them alive, and you're doing that when people are starving. That's you're wearing a fur coat when people are starving. You're driving a $300,000 automobile when people are starving. You own 6 houses while people are starving. They should be embarrassed of their wealth. And yet today,
but it's all, I can also see it as like very, inspiring, like, this is possible. This is what you could get if you also work hard and
That's how they
do what
spun
I
it.
did.
That's how the
Which
corporations have
is
spun it.
also very oppressory too,
Yep.
because
All
a
you
lot of
need,
people don't have those opportunities.
isn't it a shame
And
that everyone in the ghetto just lacks financial literacy?
and it's true, like a lot of these sports heroes, I don't know much about sports ball, but I do know they do make money and then they lose it all because
Because
they
they're
don't have the
products, because they are
financial
capital.
literacy. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Which
the value of their labor is extracted by the people who are actually in power, which are the owners. This is something that it's not because of their, it's not just because of their literacy, it's because they've been bamboozled, because they're taken advantage of, they're exploited.
So are you a wealthy person who's made your money? Now is your chance to double that money by giving it to Our Honor. We have a matching donor. And if you
Yes.
donate to Our Honor, you can be the change you want to see in the world, and donate to ouronor.org/donate. And yeah, I like
Noblesse oblige, right? Isn't that what it's called?
I,
Oblige, noblesse oblige, oblige
my
noblesse.
theory of change is a little bit different than Sky's. I think we can make change with the veterinarians because we have a lot of power, especially related to animals. We can set policy related to animals, and we are joining veterinarians together to help empower and support animal advocacy campaigns. So we can make change a lot faster. So help us get in schools and share these things with the next generation of veterinarians, and get this message out there and debunk a lot of myths to debunk in the veterinary space, for sure. Which even myths about this paper and the character assassination of me as just a animal rights activist who is clearly biased, when nobody questions the bias of people who work for the animal-based protein industry or the animal experimentation industry, but they do question the bias of somebody who has been called an animal rights extremist by the Animal Agricultural Alliance, because ad hominem attacks work, I
Yes,
guess.
they do. Of course they work.
We will not.
But doctor, I do agree with your theory of change. I was talking about cardiologists. I mean, I think cardiologists and rappers who wear fur coats, and I think that's a different phenomenon. I think that's why.
I think, cardiologists, the thing is, people don't think about it. People have a lot of priorities in life, and this isn't one of them. And the more people are talking about it, the more they hear people talking about it, and the more this paper is discussed in these circles, the more they will start to think about it. And be like, this paper is right. I recommend a whole foods plant-based diet, but I'm not adhering to that myself. Maybe the more they hear it, we're going to get 9% of cardiologists, then we're going to get 10%. And gradually other cardiologists be like, whoa, 41% of my buddies are recommending a whole food plant-based diet. I'm not doing that. Maybe I should. And now we'll have 60% of cardiologists recommending a whole foods plant-based diet. So we need to make good social media content about this, get this out there to more cardiologists, encourage. We have lots of doctor friends. Doctor friends, you all need to be discussing this paper with each other in meetings. Go to your local cardiologist meeting, in your listservs, in your email lists, in your little private cardiologist Facebook groups. Talk about this. And maybe we can get more cardiologists to adhere to a whole foods plant-based diet and recommend it to their patients when they see how many of their other colleagues are recommending this. So
yeah, I think that's a great, yes, absolutely. It's funny. I just looked up what the rate of smoking is with American cardiologists, and it's funny that a meta-analysis in 2021 said that physician smoking rates was 21% overall prevalence of smoking cigarettes, but some in certain specialties it's far lower, like cardiology. They found only 1.3% of cardiologists smoke in 2006.
interesting. In this paper, it says 92% avoid tobacco. That means 8% do not.
Of tobacco of all kind. Interesting. Maybe they dip or do something else that isn't necessarily
or tobacco. Yeah. I know nicotine is now like the wonder drug for people, like the Joe Rogans and stuff. And what's his name?
RFK
Tucker
Jr.
Carlson
Yeah.
and RFK are promoting nicotine as this super wonder drug. And so everybody's doing the nicotine now.
It's kind of funny. So I told you I went to a concert last week because Joseph had free tickets to go see Jawbreaker. And when I was on tour with him, he was smoking, and then he quit smoking while we were still on tour. And what did he do? Now he chews gum and vapes, but he's still completely addicted to nicotine. And while we were at the show, he gave me a piece of the gum, and it's only 4 milligrams. But I swear to God, it's like
it'll wake you up.
It gives you, you've had nicotine, I think, right? You've smoked a cigarette.
I have smoked a cigarette a few times, but I didn't get anything out of it. I don't think I inhaled deep enough. I don't know.
You weren't trying. Cigarettes are a hell of a drug, man. I mean, the cigarette gets the hooks in you. It's hard to kick that one. Yeah. But I chewed the gum, and it hits you really quickly. And I've dipped. I've had chewing tobacco. I went to a NASCAR thing and I did chewing tobacco, and it hits your bloodstream so quickly. It gives you like a head rush. I don't know that it wakes you up and is like a wonder drug, but it definitely dipping. And I think like a lot of people, that just becomes a habit, and they don't.
What does it make you feel like though?
It makes your you could feel it kind of coursing through your veins in a way that's kind of invigorating. I wouldn't say alertness, but you're aware of a head rush, a head high that it's very obvious. Cigarettes definitely. The problem with cigarettes is that you're always chasing that one cigarette, and maybe you get it once a day, but you got to smoke 20 of them to get there. And so you'll hear people like, oh, that first cigarette in the morning. Yeah, the problem is not that first cigarette in the morning. It's the 15 cigarettes after that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like that 1 cup of black coffee in the morning.
Yes.
So good.
You know that every once in a while, if you're a coffee drinker, you drink that coffee like, oh God, this is the greatest coffee. A similar experience with nicotine, except you feel you don't feel, it's not a rush, but it definitely is a head high. It's a headspace that I think is what they're chasing. People like RFK Jr., who wants to stay in like this kind of elevated state, but he thinks it's making you smarter. I don't think it makes you smarter, although he thinks it does. Yeah. 4 milligrams is higher.
There might be studies on like test taking and nicotine that it makes you do better on tests or something.
Supposedly it makes you more fluid, like it can make you connect ideas more quickly and stuff. I don't know. I think there must be some truth to it. I swear to God, I feel like smoking cigarettes and intellectuals having conversations, that is something that seems to be just anecdotally, but I don't think it's worth the cancer. Do you?
Well, but nicotine by the smoking causes cancer. Yes, for sure.
Nicotine causes cancer too.
I don't think it does.
I know that RFK Jr. says it doesn't all of a sudden, but
I don't think if you just do nicotine, I don't think it causes cancer. And I think it might have life expanding properties. I don't do it personally, but that's what I've heard. And I have no reason to believe that that's not true. So
it says it doesn't cause cancer by itself, but it is an addictive substance found in tobacco products, which do contain known carcinogens. But the problem is every delivery method is still tobacco. Like even vaping is tobacco.
The nicotine gum. I think there's like nicotine, like even like the water vapor things. I don't think those are harmful at all.
They're definitely, there's no scientific evidence to say that nicotine gum causes cancer. It's a great smoking cessation aid, delivered nicotine to the body without harmful chemicals found in cigarettes. Well, then maybe RFK Jr. is right. It seems odd because some other smokeless tobacco products such as snus and dip do contain cancer-causing chemicals. So it still seems like you got to be pretty careful.
Like chewing tobacco, so bad for you, cause mouth cancer. Like that's horrifying.
Cigars, cigarettes, all these things. If you do it too much, you'll die.
The gum, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, they're saying there isn't.
Personally, don't do it.
My AI overview is saying it doesn't. Joseph swears by it, but he also vapes, which, they're finding that vaping isn't as safe as they say it is either, originally. But gum, sure, do the gum, I guess. RFK Jr. Suggests pouches. He thinks the pouches are the best.
Oh, what are pouches? I don't know.
They're like little white cotton pouches filled with nicotine that you put in your gums, like down here. You'll see young people are really into them because they can do them during class, and they stick them up in their gums like chewing tobacco, like up here, and then
Interesting.
and then it bleeds into their mouths. Yeah. So there you go. I guess cardiologists. I guess maybe that's why they're 8%. 8% of cardiologists don't avoid tobacco. Maybe they're doing the pouches.
Yeah.
Like RFK Jr.
Anyway,
cool.
I know Sky gets very bored at me reading FOIA documents, but I feel like I need to recite these FOIA documents. Maybe I'll make reels about each school some other time, and so that we can go through exactly what each school is doing, because everybody believes, no, my school isn't doing that. And I'm like, look at the FOIA documents, and then they don't.
Of course they don't.
But yeah, I will if people want it. I know we only went through like part of the Auburn one before Sky got bored, but
what do you mean I got bored?
Kept changing the student, butting in. I couldn't read it.
I was trying to go to the next topic.
Yeah,
I mean, we only had 2 hours.
Yeah. But I think I will do that. Do one for each school and go through exactly what the FOIA documents say. And show you that, yes, your school is probably killing animals for veterinary education, and they might very well be doing it in an unethical way. I think there is ethical sourcing, but I think most of these schools are not ethically sourcing their animals, and they could do better. All the schools could be doing better, I think. So stay tuned for that, and don't kill the messenger, and don't, let's speak to each other with good faith, and don't just assume, oh, Crystal isn't who I thought she was.
Crystal isn't who I thought she was. I think
no, she's deceptive, and she's just jealous and resentful and a bad faith actor.
Oh,
Maybe I'm not.
Dang, I don't think you are.
Good to say. Maybe I got something important to say.
I'll look forward to those. I won't be bored. I will listen to them on triple speed, though. Dr. Gina Queston is going to be on our Friday show. We're going to do another episode of All Beings Consider. Dr. Gina Queston is sorry, I got her first name right. It's Gina, not Jenna. It's Dr. Gina Queston, veterinarian, trainer, and the life coach for people with pets. She owns Aspen Park Vet, a holistic animal hospital in Conifer, Colorado, and is the founder of Rescue Ranch, the nation's premier positive reinforcement animal sanctuary and education center. We're really looking forward to talking with her on Friday at 4. We're going to do another just a 1-hour interview with her on a special episode of All Beings Considered. And I want to say thank you to everyone on Instagram on Twitter, on X, and Facebook, and LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you are on one platform, please subscribe to Our Honor on YouTube. We're trying to grow that channel because YouTube does push out our content if we get more subscribers. So please consider hopping on over YouTube. I know people at Twitter hate hopping over to YouTube for even a minute, but please do.
If you're on Twitter, like, retweet, and comment, please. We just need to keep nudging people. Share with your friendly cardiologist and veterinarian. And every time you share this content, you are, one little step towards getting people to rethink their own habits and rethink existing policy, and that there's a better way to do things. So DominionMovement.org says he or she has no preconceptions of have you heard the things about me, though? Like, it's very compelling arguments that are made by some people.
I love that. I love that, Crystal. You crack me up. Have you heard?
Have you heard what they say about me? If you listen, and if you like this guy who is saying these things, and all of his minions who are saying these things about me, you might be compelled to believe what they're saying.
We
So
create space to question gurus and leaders and everyone and all forms of authority. And so thank you for being here for All Beings Considered, everybody.
I want to do a live stream where I read all of the horrible things that have been said about me,
I
and
think
you
you
be
should.
the
Let's do it.
judge. Yeah, sometime when I have time to sit
When
down
you-
to cry, That'd be like, pretty
People love cry
destroyed for the
streams.
next few days after that, after reading all the horrible things that were said about me.
People
But-
love cry streams, though. They love it. You can cry
Yeah.
on stream. People love it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, kings and queens, and everybody in between, thank you for joining us for All Beings Considered. Please join us on Friday. Please like and subscribe. We're going to do it all again with Dr. Questin on Friday. And don't forget to go to ouronor.org/donate. We have a matching donor. 5 will get you 10,
Yes.
10 will get you 20.
Venmo at Our Honor, that's the easiest thing, or go to ouronor.org/donate. And your money is doubled. So if you made a bunch of money in the rap industry, hip hop industry, now is your chance to stick it back to the man
To clean
by
your
donating
conscience.
to Our Honor. Like, we're going to stick it to the white men in power. That's really what our goal is.
Yes, let's
So.
do that. And in the meantime, also thank you to everyone who has already donated. We really do appreciate you. You
Hey,
make the world
Dominion Movement, use your real name instead of dominionmovement.org. How about that? And then and put your pronouns in your thing. So we know what to call
DominionMovement.org
you.
wants people to go to DominionMovement.org.
I get it. But I don't know. I don't know.
I have no
What's the
preconceived
movie that
notions.
has made the most people become conscientious objectors to the animal-based protein industry?
Schindler's List.
Oh,
That's what I think.
we'll ask ChatGPT, and then on the next live stream, we'll tell you what ChatGPT said.
I don't think ChatGPT is going to know. Who knows what these things are real? Like, how do you even get to do it? I'm trying to get people to go to the site. We know. You're amazing. It's a she, she's a she, by the way.
Yeah.
She says. I had no idea.
Sorry.
See, I don't make assumptions. He, she,
No.
them. Great. Well, we'll talk about it next time on All Beings Considered.